Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you as normal from the East Coast, from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm going to get right into it. I'm just preparing our other monitor here to bring up the chat so we can have adequate chat capability here. And now I've got it. I want to also ask everybody here that's joined us today to please give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this program, enjoy what you're seeing. Also, if you enjoy what we're doing here, please subscribe to this program. With your subscription now, you need to also go and click on that little bell icon. There is a little bell icon located right next to the subscription button. When you click on that little bell icon, you'll see a drop-down menu that will open up 3 items. Click on the word ALL, all. That should get you subscribed and also notified when we come on the air. Now be advised, YouTube does not always notify everybody. We come on the air between 4 and 5 o'clock every day, usually closer to 4 o'clock. Today it was 4:48, and I'm sorry about that. There's a lot of information that we've been gathering for you, and we need to give that to you tonight. That's why we came on a little bit later. But we always come on the air between 4 and 5 p.m. every day, on Saturdays or Sundays, or in the middle of the night. If we come on the air because it's an emergency. If we come on the air after our normal broadcast times, it is because there's been an emergency of some kind and we need to come on the air as soon as the information becomes available. We want to get that information out to you as soon as possible, so we do that. Okay? So we will come on the air at odd times only to give you important emergency information. We also come on the air on Sundays. We do a Sunday school class every week. That's called Come Follow Me, the Savior Said, on this same channel. We invite each and every one of you to also tune into that broadcast. We talk about Jesus Christ. We talk about various things that Jesus Christ has done for us and where we need to be when we leave this earth. Okay? Where we need while we're on this earth as well. What do we need to be doing? We talk about that all the time. But first tonight, I have a lot of things to impart to you. You might also want to take notes, okay? This is important information. This is very important information. Now first, okay, I'm going to bring up the USGS map here. There has been another major earthquake over in the Kamchatka Peninsula area. Okay, there's been another major earthquake in the Kamchatka Peninsula area. I'm going to take down our webcam so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm also going to take down our EMA banner here. As you can see, we've had a lot of earthquake activity here. All of these earthquakes are aftershocks. Each and every one of these earthquakes are aftershocks, ladies and gentlemen. Why? What has happened here? About 4 weeks ago in the same area, we had an 8.8, 9.4 earthquake. I'm calling it an 8.8 only because USGS said it was an 8.8. At that point in time, 4 weeks ago, I showed you all the information necessary to show you it was a much larger earthquake. I showed you information that would prove that this earthquake was a 9.4. We've had many, many earthquakes here, many, many aftershocks. We've had 7.4 aftershocks. We've had 7.8 aftershocks like we're having here today. This was a 7.8 aftershock. Okay, this was a 7.8 aftershock, and this occurred at approximately 2:36 p.m. Eastern Time. 2:36 p.m. Eastern Time today. That would be 11:36 Pacific Time. That would be 12:36 p.m. Mountain Time and 1:36 p.m. Central Time. Okay, this is still ongoing, as you can see. We're having aftershocks of this earthquake. okay, to the northwest here, just along the coastline. This earthquake is actually 71 miles east-northeast of Petropavlovsk, Russia, near the Kamchatka Peninsula. Okay, then we have the 7.8 that occurred. Okay, and you see all these earthquakes here, these three aftershocks here. Okay, this one was a 5.4 large earthquake. Then came this one. This is a 4.6 moderate quake here. This is a 4.7. This earthquake down here is a 5.6 aftershock. 5.6 aftershock. There have been others here as well. Okay. This earthquake here occurred yesterday. 5.4 earthquake. Large 5.4 earthquake. This one was a 5.8. A 5.8 earthquake that occurred today. Okay. This occurred at approximately 3:06 p.m. Eastern Time. Approximately 1 hour actually, that's not true. It occurred approximately 40 minutes after the original shock. 5.8 large earthquake. This earthquake was a 5.6. Okay. This occurred at 3:28 p.m. today. Okay. Approximately 1 hour after the main shock. Okay. That's how it happened. Now, as I've said before, after that original quake, we are going to see aftershocks for many weeks and even months, maybe even years. As I said, this was a 9.4 earthquake. When we see anything over 8.0 to 10.0, we may see aftershocks occurring for years, literally years. We've seen this happen across the globe, all around the globe. We saw it over in Antarctica. We've seen it over in the Indian Ocean. We've seen it over in the Antarctic area just south of South America, south of Argentina, in the Drake Passage. We've seen it in Turkey. All other areas that have had 9.0 earthquakes, we've seen it. We're seeing it here. We're seeing it here. Now, guys, there was briefly a tsunami warning issued. There was a brief tsunami warning issued. Let me give you that information. Okay? I want to impart this information because I believe it's important. Then we'll talk about the other very strong earthquake down in Papua, Indonesia. Okay? For a brief few minutes, there was a tsunami warning issued after this quake. I need to make this statement also. Anything over a 6.5 earthquake could cause a tsunami. Anything over a 6.5 earthquake could cause a tsunami. This was at least a 7.8 earthquake. I'm saying at least. Okay? USGS is calling a 7.8 earthquake. And I'm sure if I delve deeper into it, which I did not have time to do, I've been watching this since it came in. I haven't deeply gone into it very much, but I believe this is probably closer to an 8.5 earthquake. And after I get off the air today, I'm going to go into it, and I'm sure I'm going to see that send me information. Okay? Now, for a short time, there was a tsunami warning issued. That has since been lifted. That tsunami warning has been lifted. Now, I'm going to talk about tsunamis. Okay? We've seen many tsunamis around the globe here. We've seen a 9.0 earthquake over in Japan. Okay? That caused a tsunami. We've talked about that when it happened, or after it happened. Now, what actions do you need to take if a tsunami hits? I want to make sure you take notes on this. This information is important. This information is important to save your life. So please, everyone, make sure you take notes. Action to protect life and property will vary within tsunami advisory areas. If you are in a tsunami advisory area, move out of the water. Stay off the beach. Stay away from harbors, marinas, breakwaters, bays, and inlets. Stay away from them. Completely away from them. Be alert to and follow instructions from your local emergency officials, because they may have more detailed or specific information for your location. If you feel a strong earthquake or extended ground rolling, take immediate protective actions, such as moving inland and or uphill, preferably by foot. Now, this goes for any kind of earthquake. If you feel a strong earthquake motion, extended ground rolling, you need to take immediate protective action to protect yourselves and others. Okay? That action includes up to and including crawling underneath a strong table or a desk. Crawl underneath a table or a desk. Why? We used to say go in underneath the doorway, because there's a great big huge piece of wood over the top of the doorway. It's called a header. They used to think that place would be probably a very good place to be, because that header is holding up the rafters of your roof. Guess what? During a strong earthquake, the rafters from that roof could collapse. That collapse of the rafters of your ceiling and roof could cause your ceiling to collapse also, which means that doorway would collapse on top of you. We no longer advise anyone to stand in a doorway. Find a strong table to get underneath or a desk. Dive underneath a table or desk like this. Make sure once you're underneath the table or desk, the desk or table completely shields your head and your body. Make sure the desk and or table will completely shield your body and your head. After that, you need to hold on to the legs or the desk of that table to make sure you are underneath the desk or your table, that it doesn't move from over the top of you. Duck, cover, and hold on. Duck, cover, and hold on. Okay? Duck, cover, and hold on. As to a tsunami, boat operators, where time and conditions permit, move your boat out to sea. Move your boat out to sea to a depth of at least 180 feet. To a depth of at least 180 feet. If at sea, avoid entering shallow water, harbors, marinas, bays, and inlets to avoid floating and or submerged debris, and also strong currents. Do not go to the shoreline. Do not go to the shoreline. You don't want to go to the shoreline to observe the tsunami. If you're a boat operator, you do not want to be swept by the tsunami. I'm going to talk about the tsunami very soon. Don't go anywhere near the shoreline or shallow water areas to be swept by the tsunami onto the shoreline, because you and your boat will be destroyed by incoming waves. Do not return to the coast until local officials indicate that it's safe to do so. Whether you are on shore or on a boat, make sure you pay attention to local marine advisories. If on shore, you need to make sure you have an AM/FM weather radio. those AM, FM weather radios and or TV station tuned to your local news talk station. They will give you the latest information about the earthquake and or the tsunami. Those people on a boat need to pay attention to the Coast Guard radios. They have a Coast Guard radio channels that go up to, I believe, channel 12 on the Marine Band. Pay attention to the coastal advisories on the Coast Guard radio channels. You can also have your AM, FM weather radio tuned to your weather station. That weather station, the National Weather Service, will give you important information ongoing about the tsunami or the possibility of a tsunami. Okay? Like I said, I'm asking you all to take notes. This is very important. It doesn't matter whether you live in Kansas, upper north part of Alaska, whether you live in Canada, central Canada. You may also be in a tsunami advisory area if you move about your country, move about your state, or move into another state whether you're visiting or not. You might end up being near the coastline. That's why this information is important. Now, what happens when a tsunami occurs? I'm going to talk about impacts now. Impacts could impact you. Impacts will vary at different locations in the advisory areas. If you are in a tsunami advisory area, a tsunami with strong waves and currents is possible. A tsunami with strong waves and currents are possible. Waves and currents can drown or injure people who are in the water. Currents at beaches and harbors. Currents at beaches and harbors, marinas, bays, and inlets may be especially dangerous. Depending on the size of the earthquake and the subsequent tsunami, some impacts may continue for many hours to days after the arrival of the first wave. Some impacts may continue for many hours to days and even longer after the arrival of the first wave. The first wave may not be the largest. Later waves may be even larger. Each wave may last from anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes as a wave encroaches and recedes. As a wave encroaches on the shoreline and also to the time it recedes, that time period may be anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes, possibly longer. The coastline. People on the coastline. Coast facing all directions are threatened. Coastline facing all directions are threatened because the waves can wrap around the islands. The waves can wrap around the islands and the headlands and into the bays. Strong shaking or rolling of the ground indicates an earthquake has occurred or is occurring as we speak. And if that's the case, a tsunami may be imminent. If you're anywhere near a coastline and you see or feel shaking or rolling of the ground, this indicates that an earthquake has occurred and a possible tsunami may be imminent. A rapidly receding or receded shoreline, meaning the water leaving the shoreline going out to sea. The water leaving the shoreline and going out to sea. Unusual waves and sounds. Not like that. I think my wife got into our pan cabinet here in our home, and the pans came cascading out for some reason. Similar to a tsunami, I guess. Okay? But anytime you are in strong shaking near the coastline or rolling of the ground, that indicates that an earthquake has occurred or is presently occurring, and the tsunami wave may be imminent. Anytime you see water rapidly leaving the shoreline and Also the possibility of unusual waves and sounds and strong currents. All of those are signs of a tsunami. The tsunami may appear as water moving rapidly out to sea, a gentle rising tide like flood with no breaking wave, or as a series of breaking waves or a frothy wall of water. Okay? That is a sign of a tsunami. Now, before we stop talking about that, do you have any questions about that? I know I've gotten very close to this. I made sure I was very pertinent to it because I want everybody to understand what a tsunami can do. Now, I'm going to take a pause real quick and tell you about a flash flood warning that's been issued by the National Weather Service that Renee Steffi's made us aware of. Renee Steffi is one of our mods here on this channel and is also a very good friend of mine. She said that Phoenix, Arizona, the National Weather Service out of Phoenix, Arizona, has issued a flash flood warning for La Paz, Arizona, Imperial, California. We're talking about Imperial, California, Riverside, California. Life-threatening flash flooding. Why? We've talked about this before. We've talked about it before a lot of times before. We're having presently a monsoonal season. A monsoonal season. Let me bring up the USGS map here and I'll take it over to the Southern California, Arizona, and New Mexico region. This area right here, okay? From Mexico on up into the Imperial Valley that you see here, just south of the Salton Sea, but including the area of the Salton Sea up to the north side of the Salton Sea as well. That is a threatened area all the way to Riverside County. All the way out here to Riverside County. We're having monsoonal rain. Also out here in Arizona, even possibly up into Nevada, New Mexico, and this rain may also end up going up into southern Utah. This is a monsoonal flow that happens all the time, every year. This should be nothing new. But we are seeing it now, and it's going to result in heavy rain and flash flooding issues. Okay? If you see flash flooding, stay out of the water. Do not enter a roadway or any other area with flowing water. 6 inches of water can knock you off your feet. 12 inches of water can float your car. Stay out of the water. Stay out of the water with your person, your kids, and your car. Why? Because the water rushing under the road. The water rushing over the roadway is a danger, and any water rushing under the roadway can undermine that roadbed, and all of a sudden you'll have a hole under the road, and then the road will collapse. You're going to have a sinkhole. Don't go in the water. Don't go over it. Don't walk over it. Don't drive over it. If that roadway collapses, you're a goner. You'll be swept away in the current. If your car gets caught in that, your car will be stuck and you'll be stuck as well. Don't go there. Avoid it. Please avoid it, guys. Shelly Dean is here in our chat. We thank her for being here. She said, hit that like button for Ron Tyler. Yes, we ask you to do that as well. And I want to thank you for that. Renee Steffi says a flash flood warning has been issued for Albuquerque, New Mexico, Lincoln, New Mexico, life-threatening flash flooding. Like I said, it's a wide area from the Imperial Valley of Southern California on up into Riverside County to the north, and all the way over to Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada, going up even into southern Utah, St. George, Utah. Las Vegas is probably going to be next. Okay, the monsoonal moisture is going to move north from California, Arizona, up into Nevada, and over in New Mexico as well. So be careful, guys. Gene is asking, how about Texas? I would think southwestern Texas would also be affected. Southwestern Texas may be affected as well. Let me quickly look at this. Hold on a second. I'll get you the latest information about it. Renee, have you heard of anything into southwestern Texas? Shelley, that's a good idea to warn your family over there in Riverside, California. That's a very good idea. My buddy Sleeping Volcano is here. Sleeping Volcano, you've got your wrench. And I want to thank you also for being here. Sleeping Volcano has been a very dear friend of mine for years now. She also was asked by myself and a man named Larry Smith, who passed away about a year or so ago. Larry Smith was a very close friend of mine. He was a close friend to a lot of us, including Sleeping Volcano. Larry Smith asked her on Facebook Messenger to start off a Facebook Messenger chat about earthquakes and volcanoes, and she's done a magnificent job ever since. I want to thank her for that. Those of you on Facebook Messenger, you can go over and look at quakes and volcanoes, and you'll come up with the Messenger chat, and we can invite you into that chat. We'd love to have you there. Okay? Renee Steffi says a local area emergency flash flooding is imminent in the Cedar Creek Alpine Village area. Evacuate or move to higher ground immediately. Do not delay gathering belongings or even try to protect your home. Get out of there immediately. This is an evacuation order. This is an evacuation order, guys. Okay. Let me give you some information about Texas here. Okay. Monsoonal moisture can affect parts of West Texas during North American monsoon season, which is typically from June 15th to September 30th. It can go into October as well. I've seen that happen. Okay. That monsoonal moisture is going to bring showers and thunderstorms that can produce heavy rain and flash flooding. The thunderstorms can also produce heavy rain and flash floods. This moisture plume comes out of Mexico, comes through the Gulf of California, and even over into the Gulf of America. Okay, this moisture plume draws energy from the distant bodies of water, influencing the regions, and I'm talking about the United States and Mexico's weather patterns. While monsoons can provide much needed rain and reduce drought conditions, even in the deserts of Southern California, even in the deserts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, because those areas are so dry, that water is absorbed into the ground, and because of that, the heavy rains and flooding, although heavy rains can produce flooding once the grounds are completely inundated with water. The ground cannot pick up any additional moisture, and as a result, the rain is going to flow off the ground, across the ground, and cause flooding. Okay? They will cause very bad flooding conditions. This can also cause and carry the risk of dangerous flooding and death, especially in areas with wildfire burn scars. Wildfire burn scars, as we've seen in Southern California in previous years. Okay, this is happening. Now, someone may ask, what is a monsoonal moisture plume? A monsoonal moisture plume is a surge of water vapor that spreads into a region, increasing the chances for cloud development and precipitation. That surge of water vapor is typically off large bodies of water, such as the Gulf of California or even the Gulf of America. Okay? What does it affect and where does it affect? The prime areas are affected in West Texas, the Trans-Pecos area, Big Bend, and the border region around El Paso. Okay? This moisture can also affect a larger parameter than that. It can extend into New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. This is happening and is happening right now. We've been talking about this for quite some time period. We've been talking about it for a very long time. Now, those moisture winds, those moisture vapor, water vapor. Water vapor comes off, like I said, the Gulf of America, comes out of the Gulf of California, picking up heavy moisture. Wind over the water, picking up heavy moisture. Okay, that warm, moist air rises over the mountains and the hot land. And yes, right now that land is hot. In Mexico, in California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and over in Texas. It's very hot. When that happens, that moisture is going over hot land, and the hot land is raising that heat into the clouds. As a result, the clouds come over there with heavy moisture and it falls on the hot ground. Okay? Again, monsoonal moisture brings heavy rain, bursts of rain and thunderstorms. Bursts of rain and thunderstorms. The potential for wildfires. In some cases, early season dry thunderstorms can occur with monsoonal moisture. This can also increase fire risk, and I've seen it in Southern California this time of year. This wildfire risk is due to lightning hitting the land. Lightning strikes on dry vegetation. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Dean, thank you for that. Chat you just put up. Send your questions and suggestions, information, pictures, or complaints to our email, rltnspdema@gmail.com. Thanks, Dean, for that. Super chats here on the chat are also welcome if you'd like to do that to help support this channel. We'd appreciate that. Super chats and donations to our PayPal are also very much appreciated. And you see our PayPal scrolling across your screen right now. You see our PayPal scrolling across the screen as you can see right now. Cassandra Goss just joined us. Thank you for being here, Cassandra. We appreciate you here. My dear friend Sage Pup, another brother I've had for a very long time. No, we're not brothers, but by another mother. Sage Pup and I have known each other for a long time now. We appreciate Sage Pup being here as well. Shelly's saying she's praying for California, and I am also praying for California. Again, you got to remember, I also have family and friends over there. A lot of cousins, a lot of my son, his dear wife, and our grandchildren live over there in Vista, California. Okay? Great man. Great man. My cousins and dear friends that I used to work with live in San Diego as well. All over San Diego and up in LA. But does anybody have any questions about this monsoonal moisture? Again, this happens every year at this time of year, all the time, literally all the time. Not surprising at all. Jamie's here as well. Thank you for being here, Jamie. Appreciate you here. Rebecca Griffith is asking, what is the possibility for Amarillo, Texas? That's a possibility. Amarillo is in northwestern Texas. I've been through Amarillo on my way here. Yes, there is a possibility for thunderstorm activity in Amarillo. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you at all. If you are over there, I don't know where you're at right now. I think you've been on vacation, but there is a possibility for thunderstorm activity over there. Let me check something. Right now it's about 76 degrees in Amarillo. There's absolutely no precipitation at all. 50% humidity though. Partly cloudy, 50% humidity, 76 degrees. Pretty warm. Good old Amarillo, Texas. But as I said, with that monsoonal moisture flowing north, it's a possibility you may see some thunderstorms rolling in. Even the weather service says there is a possibility for a stray shower or thunderstorm moving in today early. Some clouds, low tonight over in Amarillo is going to be about 58 degrees. The wind right now is 5 to 10 miles per hour around Amarillo. So I got you your information. Howdy, Rebecca. It's good to see you as well. We appreciate you being here. Any questions about this monsoonal moisture? Like I said, it happens all the time. Literally all the time, every year. All the time, every year here. Okay? Anyway, we've talked about that. Yes, I'm going to get to the Pacific Northwest and the volcanoes because we have some information you need to know about. Again, our main story tonight is the major earthquake that has happened over here again off the southeastern shore of the Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia. This earthquake happened just after 2:36 today, 2:36 p.m. Eastern Time. A major 7.8 earthquake. It's probably an 8.4, 8.5 earthquake. Major earthquake. Major earthquake. In fact, for kicks and giggles, hold on a second. Guys, this was a major earthquake. It was a big deal. This may in fact be a 9 or 8.4, 9.0 earthquake. I know I should have checked this before I even came on the air. Gosh, I should have checked this before I came on the air. This is a big deal. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pick up 3 slides here for you that I want to show to you here. Again, this is a big deal. This is huge. This is huge. This major earthquake is going to be a big deal. Just a second. I'm going to come up with this here. This may be as much as a 9.0 earthquake. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, let me take down the USGS map. You're going to want to see this. I know you're going to want to see this now. Whew. This is wild. Yes, I usually do this when I have earthquakes like this. Okay, this is that earthquake in Russia off the southeast side of the Kamchatka Peninsula. This would show what I'm seeing right now as at least an 8.0 earthquake. Okay, this helioplot here is almost completely blacked out. Not quite, but almost. This is probably an 8.0 earthquake, at least. At least. Now, I want to show you what it looks like from Missouri. Okay? This is over in the south central part of the United States. This is what it looks like from Missouri. Okay? Now let me show you what it looks like from Alaska, closer to the earthquake. Look at this. This is an 8.0 earthquake. This is at least an 8.0 earthquake. And I have not even looked at the back seismologist study page yet. This is at least an 8.0 earthquake. Okay. Trish Killian says she's showing a 7.8. Yes, USGS is showing this as a 7.8. But as I said, look at the data here. Look at the helioplots. The helioplots are almost blacked out, which tells me this earthquake is a lot stronger than a 7.8. Look at that. SagePub is asking what was it reported as, a 7.8 earthquake. The Europeans are also reporting it as a 7.8. When USGS usually says it's a 7.8, the Europeans also report the same thing. But as you can see on helioplots, this shows it to be close to an 8.8 earthquake. All right, well, even not an 8.8. I'm saying an 8.4 earthquake. 8.0 for sure, 8.4 almost absolutely for sure. This was not a 7.8 earthquake. This was at least an 8.0 or larger quake. This was an 8.0 or larger quake. Okay, big deal. Hurricane Heather says night 7.8, but an 8.3. Yes, probably an 8.3, 8.3, 8.4. Okay. This is a big deal. Again, this is an aftershock. Remember, this is an aftershock of the 8.8, 9.4 earthquake that happened here a month ago. This is an aftershock of that quake. As I said before, aftershocks can happen for weeks, months, and even years after the main quake. As I said when this earthquake first hit, this was a full plate rupture here. This was a full plate rupture, a separation of the plates, a complete separation of the plates. Let's go back to the USGS map briefly here. Actually, let's just go back to the USGS map here. See where that main earthquake is? Let's zoom out. Here you see the Sea of Okhotsk to the west. Okay? This Kamchatka Peninsula rests on the Okhotsk plate. The Okhotsk plate. Okay? The Pacific plate is subducting under the Okhotsk plate. When that 8.8, 9.0 happened, and it may well have been a 9.4, as I said. When that happened, it was a complete plate rupture. A complete and absolute plate rupture. The plate separated. Now the plates may also separate today. This was a major quake. I just showed you the helioplot. Okay, I showed you the helioplot from Missouri. I showed you the helioplot from Alaska. And I showed you the one from New Mexico. Okay, I usually try to show 3 locations so you get a good idea of what we're looking at. But let me go to another source real quick here. Give me a second. Oh my gosh. Don't tell me I did what I think I did. And I think I did it. When I get off the air today, I'm going to have a lot of work ahead of me. All right. I'm going over to the backside seismologist study page of USGS. Again, the backside seismologist study page shows a 7.8 earthquake. But the backside seismologist study page is showing here as no station details contributed. They're showing one study here as 99 seismographs reporting. Another page here showing 82 seismographs reporting. No station details contributed by either one of those studies there. But they are showing an earthquake as a 7.6 with over 549 stations reporting, which means they're lying to the public. Okay? They want to show this earthquake as a 7.6 and not what it is. They're not wanting to show what it is. They put it out as 7.8 and they want everybody to believe it might be less than that. It's not. Let me tell you, right off the bat, they're showing 7.98 as one seismograph reporting. 7.98, 7.65, 7.63, 8.02, 7.9, 7.74, 7.79, 7.8, 7.6, 7.79, 7.67, 8.02, 7.7, 7.8, 7.6, 7.88, 7.77, 7.87, 7.56, 7.47, 7.77. Yes, they have stations reporting 8.0, 8.03. I'm also seeing a station reporting 8.17, 8.32, 8.17, 8.18, 8.28, 8.13, 8.2, 8.5, 8.06. But even with the downgraded 7.6, we're already seeing 8.02, 7.8, 8.02, 7.9, 8.13, all the way up to 8.5. Okay, we're seeing it all over here. 8.15, 8.16, 8.14. I'm still scrolling here. 8.63. 8.63, ladies and gentlemen. This quake was probably larger. This quake was probably larger, guys. That 8.6 smacks up an 8.8. And I already said the 8.8 was probably a 9.4. I show you data suggesting that. 8.19 as well. 8.05. 8.0, 8.35. 7.9. 8.46. 7.98. 8.21. 8.03, 8.07, 8.15. I've seen a lot of 8.7, 8.8, I mean 7.8, 7.7 area. Another 7.8 here, 7.93, 8.0, 8.04, 8.06, 8.33. Guys, what I'm saying, it stands. This earthquake was probably close to an 8.4. This earthquake today was possibly upwards of an 8.4 earthquake. It settled. It settled. Okay? Upwards of an 8.3, 8.4 earthquake. Any questions here? And as you can see on the map here, we're getting more and more earthquakes here. We're getting more and more aftershocks. Aftershocks from even this earthquake. This was a big deal. This was a very big deal here. Okay. Now we had one other very strong earthquake. This very strong earthquake occurred over here in Papua New Guinea. Okay. Right here. Now I'm going to zoom in here. The reason I'm zooming in is I want you to see where it's at. Okay. It's in the foothills of that mountain range here in Papua New Guinea. Okay, it says on the map here, I'm sorry, on the USGS website, it says it's 6.1, which is a very strong earthquake. 6.0, 6.8, 6.9 are very strong earthquakes. 6.0, 6.9 are very strong earthquakes. Okay? Watch what I'm doing here. Watch what I'm doing. See that city of Nabir here? This was a 6.1 earthquake in the foothills of this mountain range here. Okay? Look what's happening. Let me show you here. All of these names you're seeing here are towns and cities here in Indonesia. People living there. People living here. Let's go over here. Let's go over here near the coast. This is a large city. This is a very large city. And the outlying parts of the city, this is urban area here, Nabir Barat. Everybody lives here. Look at that. Huge urban interface here. Huge urban interface. That earthquake occurred over here. Okay? Now, why am I saying that? Why am I showing it to you? There's a good reason here. This earthquake was a very strong earthquake. As I stated before in other broadcasts, this area around Papua New Guinea and Papua, Indonesia, these people are poor. Even in the cities, they don't make that much money. This earthquake was huge in comparison. We keep having these earthquakes like this all the time. Okay? This occurred at 2:20 p.m. Approximately 16 minutes before this major quake in Kamchatka Peninsula. Okay? This earthquake had the strength to cause damage to older or poorly built structures within dozens of kilometers from the epicenter. It was easily noticed by people indoors and outdoors. This earthquake did damage here. Presently, we have no information on damage or injuries here, but I'm sure we're going to get damage reports here before the end of this day. This was a decent earthquake. This has a probable possibility of causing injuries, damages, and possibly more. This was a major earthquake here in Papua New Guinea, and we're not even seeing either the aftershocks or other earthquakes in the area because the USGS doesn't want to show them to us. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Now, I'm going to go over to my device. I'm going over to my device and I'm going to pull up earthquakes in the area from the USGS, from not just the USGS, but also from the EMSC, the European Agency. Okay, right here, we're seeing 10 plus earthquakes. 10 plus earthquakes. I'm going to zoom in here. We showed you 2 earthquakes and we showed you the 6.1. Okay, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 more. So we have 15, 16 earthquakes in this area. 16 earthquakes in this area. These are aftershocks of that earthquake. 3.9, 3.9, 4.0, 4.2, 3.6, 2.6, 3.5, 3.8, 3.6, and this is north of that earthquake. These are earthquakes, aftershocks that are north of this earthquake. A 3.4, a 3.1, and closest to the earthquake, we have a 2.9. 2.9 earthquake there. Okay. Southwest of there, here we have a 2.7. 2.7 quake. Northeast of there along the coastline, we have another 3.2 earthquake there. 3.2 aftershock. So again, USGS is not showing us everything going on. They never do. Again, they don't want to be held responsible for anything. Nothing. Nothing. Now I want to go down here in Australia. Down in northern Australia. Let me zoom out here on the USGS map here. Let's go down here in Australia. USGS is not reporting anything, nothing. Northern Australia. This is a 2.85 earthquake. A 2.85 earthquake. Okay, off the northwestern shore of Australia. We have a 2.88 here. 2.88 earthquake here. Okay, going up into the Banda Sea. The Banda Sea is east of Java. East of Java. We have a 2.8 and a 3.0. 2.8 and a 3.0 here in East Central Java. I shouldn't say east of Java. This is east of Java in South Central Indonesia. Okay. Southeast of Java here. This is a 4.7 just southeast of Java here. 4.7 earthquake. Okay. Closer to Java here. This is just along the coastline of Java, Indonesia. We have a 2.8 and we have a 3.1. A 2.8 and a 3.1 here, just off the coast of Central Java. Going over into Western Java, Indonesia, just south there is another 4.1. This is on the fault line. This is on the fault line, guys. Okay, why is this important? Why is looking at this important? Because, guys, stretching from over here in Samoa and Tonga, going down here into New Zealand, over here into the Legacy Islands here of New Caledonia. By the way, this is a 4.8 moderate earthquake here. 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep. Okay? Going up into the Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, and even Papua New Guinea, where that very strong earthquake is. There are a lot of other earthquakes here. Going through Indonesia and over here into Burma area here. Guess what? 7 different tectonic plates are in play here. 7 different tectonic plates are in play here. And the United States Geological Survey is only showing 4 earthquakes here, 1 in Papua New Guinea. I should say Papua New Guinea, Papua Indonesia. They're not even showing the aftershocks here. They're showing 3 other earthquakes. This one south of Java here on the tectonic plate, on the edge of the tectonic plate, this being a 4.7 earthquake. Going up here in the north central Java here, this is a 4.8 earthquake here, as well as a 26 kilometer deep or a 26 mile deep quake. This one is a 4.4 here in Ternate, Indonesia here. They're not showing all these earthquakes. They're not showing all the earthquakes. Look at this. Look at this, guys. There are a lot more earthquakes. There are a ton of earthquakes here. They're not showing any of them. Relatively none of them. None of them. Going over north of Java, we have 4 earthquakes in, I'm not north of Java, north of Sumatra. Northern Sumatra, we have 4 earthquakes there. 3s and 4s there. I showed you these in Java, Indonesia here. But over here, look at all these earthquakes. There are 40 earthquakes here in Indonesia today. 40 earthquakes. USGS shows us 4 earthquakes out of 40. And guess what? There's more. There's more. Kepulauan, Indonesia. Here's another 5.0 earthquake. 5.0 earthquake here in Kepulauan, Indonesia. They're not even showing that. They're not showing the earthquakes. They are not showing the earthquakes, guys. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know why not. They're showing this earthquake here. This is Sarangani, Philippines. Sarangani, Philippines, guys. They're only showing this earthquake here. It's a 5.2. There's also a 3.5 there as well. There's also 3.5 here near Sarangani, Philippines. Unreal what they're not showing. Okay? Going up here in the Mindanao, Philippines, which is the largest southern island here in the Philippines. They're showing us 1 earthquake off the eastern shore of Mindanao, Philippines. They're showing a 4.5 earthquake. Guess what? There are actually 4 earthquakes there. There are actually 4 earthquakes there. And then 1 north of there. Okay? The one north of there is a 3.5. Where this earthquake here is, we have a 4.6, we have a 3.0, we have a 3.7, and we have a 4.1. Again, they're not showing all the earthquakes. But they're also not showing this. This was in northeastern Mindanao, Philippines. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. Not showing that as either. They show 3.0 earthquakes around this world. Why are they not showing these in the Philippines? On the western shore of Mindanao, Philippines, the southwestern shore, a 3.4 earthquake here, 3.4 small earthquake there, and just north of there, a 4.1 moderate quake. A 4.1 moderate quake. They're not even being truthful. Central Indonesia. Central Indonesia. They're not showing one earthquake here. There are three. There are three. There's a 3.1 there. Just north of there is a 3.2. And north of there is a 3.3. 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 going north there. They're not showing them. Now, guess what? There's more. USGS is showing one large earthquake here off of Luzon, Philippines. This is the northernmost island of the Philippines, Luzon, Philippines. They're showing this earthquake 5.3, approximately 36 miles west-northwest of Bacnotan, Philippines. Bacnotan, Philippines. I know I butchered that. But down here to the south, here's the 3.2. North of there, this is a 3.0 on the tectonic plate, on the edge of the tectonic plate here. North of there, this is a 3.2 earthquake here. Also, right next to that 5.3, we have a 3.7 aftershock. On the north end of the island, this is a 3.4 earthquake here. North of there, north of there out in the ocean between the Philippines and Taiwan, this is a 3.1 earthquake here. Of course, they're not showing any of this. None of it. None of it. Why not? Why not? One more stop here in Taiwan, and then we are going over to the Pacific Northwest. I hadn't planned on showing you all these earthquakes, but it is horrendous. This is horrendous. I am going to say again, USGS cannot be trusted. The United States Geological Survey cannot be trusted. Unreal. Unreal. My dear sweet friends sleep in Volcano. A strong magnitude 5.0 large earthquake off of Japan, off the Neomuro Peninsula of Japan. A strong 5.0. That, let me first show you this 4.6 off the northeast coast of Taiwan here. 4.6 earthquake off the northeast coast of Taiwan. Now let's go over to Japan. The European agency has not even put up the 5.0 that just hit. USGS has neither. Okay? USGS has this this 4.5 moderate quake here off of Tokyo. 4.5 earthquake off Tokyo here. But guess what? There's more. There's a lot more. A lot more. South of southern Japan. South of southern Japan. Okay? We have 2, 4, 5 earthquakes here. This is a 3.1. We keep seeing swarms of earthquakes here, by the way. That's a 3.1. Okay. Right next to it going west is a 3.5. Then a 1.9 tremor. Okay. This is the 3.5 right there. And going west is a 1.9 tremor. 1.9, 2.0 tremor. 2.0 minor earthquake. To the south, this is a 2.0 minor earthquake there. And further south here is a 2.7. Yet USGS has not even showing those. Heaven forbid. Off the off the southern coast of Japan, right here. This is a 4.1 earthquake here. 4.1 moderate earthquake right there. Okay. Over here, off the Ishikawa Prefecture, the Noto Peninsula. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquake there. Okay? Or 2.3 earthquake, 2.3 moderate minor earthquake there. Now, let me zoom in here. I want to show you where this peninsula is. 1 year ago, we had a 7.4 earthquake here. We had a 7.4 earthquake here. This may even be an aftershock of that earthquake. That earthquake killed 300 people and injured over 500 others. Okay? Just to give you an idea. Melody Trailers here. She says, thank you very much for letting us know. There is a comment on a meteor that's supposed to be going by the Earth. Whether it has anything to do with it, I have no idea. Now, the scientists are saying that meteor has nothing, having nothing to do with what's going on here on this Earth. I've done my research on it. Yes, it's a meteor. Okay? It's a very large meteor. Now, just like the planets, okay, when there's a planetary alignment, that planetary alignment, when it happens, has an influence on what goes on here on Earth. Why? Because when we have a planetary alignment, what happens? There is an electromagnetic radiation field that happens when there is a planetary alignment. When we have a speeding meteor, and I mean it's speeding, millions of miles per hour through the solar system, flying, literally flying. Now, it's not going to get anywhere near Earth. It's over 400,000 miles away from our Earth. 2 moon distances. The moon is 200,000 miles away. This meteor is over 400 million miles away. That's a big deal. I shouldn't say million, 400,000 miles away. 400,000 miles away. So this meteor is not going to get anywhere close to Earth, but it is going through our solar system as we speak. Now, as we have told you before about electromagnetic radiation, it heats up the plates. It heats up the plates. It heats up the faults of the Earth. That electromagnetic radiation penetrates the ground, goes into the faults and into the plates. All that gunk and grime that holds the plates and the earthquake faults in place like this, all that friction, all that gunk and grime that holds the faults and the plates in place becomes a oily, greasy-like substance. All that sand, all that dirt, all that rock, all that biological material that's holding these plates and the faults in place becomes an oily, greasy-like substance that allows the faults to more freely move and also allows the plates to more freely move like this, meaning we have subduction going on. we have subduction going on. That's what caused that earthquake down in Indonesia. That's what caused that earthquake over southeast of the Kamchatka Peninsula. It allows those plates to more freely move. In the case of the Kamchatka earthquake, a big deal, a really big deal. Because again, we may have also seen a full plate rupture today. We may have also seen a full plate rupture from this earthquake today, right here. This may have been an 8.4 earthquake, not a 7.8, but an 8.4 earthquake. Just like we saw that full plate rupture when it was an 8.8. This may have been an 8.4 by all the measurements, even from the USBS themselves. But of course, they're not going to show it. They're not going to show it. On the back seismologist study page, it shows a 7.8 earthquake twice, but no station details reporting, and only 59 seismographs reporting it. But a third one shows a 7.6. This was not a 7.6, this was at least a 7.8. But on the 7.6, we have readings, we have measurements of at least a 7.8, and a 7.9, an 8.0, an 8.1, an 8.2, 8.3, and even an 8.4 earthquake. Yeah. Big deal. Big deal. Then it comes in and says crazier things happening at Mount St. Helens, dust clouds appearing. I saw a program. Yes, it is dust clouds, but it's not just dust, it's ash. I'll explain that in just a minute. I'll explain all about the Pacific Northwest in a minute, including Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Hood. I'm going to talk about Bachelor, which they're now calling Moon Mountain. Yes, they're calling Bachelor Volcano Moon Mountain now. I'm going to talk about Newberry Volcano. I'm going to talk about Sisters, and I'm also going to talk about Crater Lake. Okay? When I talk about the Cascadia, I usually start up at the Canadian border. But I'm specifically going to talk about these volcanoes around the major population centers in Washington and Oregon. We need to talk about it. It's real. It's very real. But again, we have a 5.0 earthquake over here, probably over here on the Noto Peninsula right here of Japan. And USGS is not even showing it. Go figure. Large earthquake, they're not showing it. They're just barely showing a 4.5 earthquake off the eastern shore of Honshu. Go figure. Go figure. There are large earthquakes. There are many large earthquakes. But again, USGS is not showing them. Going over here. Actually, before we start here, let's go over here to Alaska. Okay? This is a 3.2 small earthquake up here in northwestern Alaska. I call it the Hand of Alaska. Looks like a hand, doesn't it? This is a 3.2 small quake. Okay? It's 9 miles southwest of White Mountain, Alaska. Look where it's at. Look where it's at. Let's go up here into the Arctic Circle. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. 31 miles north of Kobuk, Alaska. Kobuk, Alaska. 3 years ago, we had a 6.3 earthquake up here, just south of here in Kobuk, Alaska. 6.3. Today, a 2.0, 31 miles north of there. No other earthquakes up here near the Arctic Circle at all. They're all down here in south central Alaska here. Largest earthquake here is a 2.4 here in Happy Valley, Alaska. Happy Valley, Alaska, south of Mount Redoubt. But up here near Mount Redoubt. This is also just south of Mount Redoubt. This is in the foothills of Mount Redoubt. This is they say this is a minus 0.1. Minus 0.1 numbers are above sea level. This is almost 2 miles deep. Just shy of 2 miles deep. Also south of Mount Redoubt, this is also considered a minus 0.2 by USGS. This is over 2 miles deep. Supposedly a microquake over 2 miles deep here, south of Redoubt, a volcano here in Alaska. This third earthquake here is, by their definition, a minus 0.7, a microquake. This is nearly a mile deep, not above sea level at all. Okay? East of Mount Redoubt here. This is a 1.3 tremor. Okay? We have a lot of earthquakes here. These are just minor tremors and minor earthquakes. 2.0, 2.3. That's all. That's all. Okay? Southwestern Alaska. This is a 1.8 tremor here in Kamchatka, Alaska. Southwestern Alaska. Okay? Going further south. I'm going to stop here and show you this because this is at Haida Gwaii. Haida Gwaii. This is a 0.5 microquake. This is 5 miles deep. 5 miles deep, about 60 kilometers deep. Haida Gwaii. Going down here into the Pacific Northwest. I want to show you this because this was shown earlier as an explosion. They showed this earlier as an explosion. Okay? This is not an explosion, and they change it to a tremor here. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake here. 2.6 minor earthquake near Cowichan Bay, Canada. 10 miles southwest of Cowichan Bay, Canada. Was not an explosion. I don't know how or why USGS had that labeled as an explosion earlier. It was not. Not at all. Going down here into Washington. This is so sad it's not even funny. This is so sad it's not even funny. Mount Rainier. 0.6 microquake. Fascinating. 0.4 microquake. Out here in the foothills of Mount Rainier, 0.9, 1.0 tremor. This is considered a 1.0 tremor also. Let's go south here to Mount St. Helens. Down here to in the center of the hillside, I'm talking about the flank of the volcano, Mount St. Helens, on the west side. This is a 0.3 microquake here. This happens to be 2.7 miles deep, 24 kilometers deep. This is a 0.4, 26 kilometers deep, 2.93 miles deep. On the flank of the volcano. North of there, Mossy Rock, Washington. Mossy Rock, Washington, right near a lake. This is a 0.7 microquake, 14.7 miles deep. It's sad that they're only showing these earthquakes here. It's horrendously sad. Further south here, 21 miles northeast of Amway, Washington. Really? Well, I showed you this. I'm sorry. This is on the flank of Mount St. Helens. Let's go take a look at the volcanoes. They're not showing anything at Mount Hood down to the south. Nothing. Nothing at any of the other volcanoes as well. Down here in the southern part of the Cascadia subduction zone. Let me show you this. These are earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault here. So for those of you that haven't seen this program before, this is the northern part of the San Andreas Fault. It runs from here all the way down into Mexico. All the way down into Mexico. This is a 2.2 earthquake west of Petrolia, California. This is a 2.5 earthquake on the northern part of the San Andreas Fault. This is a 2.4 here on the San Andreas Fault. Over here, just west of the San Andreas Fault, Petrolia, California. This is a 2.0 earthquake. Now, earlier today, there was a 2.0 earthquake right here. They took it down. This earthquake that's here, they're not showing it here, but it was. This earthquake here is on the Mendocino Fault. The Mendocino Fault is just an extension of the Gorda Escarpment out here. The Gorda Escarpment runs out here to the west, away from the California coastline. The Gorda Escarpment. Two other earthquakes out here. This is a 2.2, and this earthquake right here is a 2.2 as well. The Gorda Escarpment runs off the coast of California all the way out here into the Eastern Pacific Ocean, into the Eastern Pacific Ocean. All the way out here. All the way out here. This is the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone region. The southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone region. The region. Again, the Cascadia subduction zone is that earthquake fault that runs all the way down here, Northern California, and all the way up here just south of Haida Gwaii. South of Haida Gwaii up here. Okay? We are supposed to be getting, and I still believe it's going to happen, within the next 5 years, sometime within the next 5 years, we're going to see a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake happen here. Off the coast of Seattle, Tacoma, Washington, right here in this area, between the Cascadia subduction zone and the outer fault called the Juan de Fuca Fault. Juandejuan. Juan, Juandefuca, Juan de Fuca Fault. Okay? Yes, we have volcanoes. The last time we had a major earthquake here was 334 years ago. There was a seaman out to sea when it happened. When that earthquake happened, he saw either Glacier Peak to the north and or Mount Rainier erupting. He saw Glacier Peak and or Mount Rainier erupting. He wrote that in his book here, his logbook on the ship. That's why we know it happened. There's other records from the Japanese people that also saw the tsunami. They kept absolute fantastic records. That way we know the date that the earthquake happened. Those are the ways we know the earthquake happened. Now let's show you what's going on with the volcanoes. I'm going to start with Mount Rainier. Let's start with Mount Rainier, guys. Guess what? You might get blown away. Okay? This seismogram here shows the activity at Mount Rainier at Camp Sherman. Camp Sherman so far has been the best seismograph showing us exactly what's going on, because the other seismographs, the USGS alters. They alter them. They fake them. They falsify the data. As you can see, there are plenty of tremors here. We also have some 3.0 earthquakes here. Yes, we have some minor earthquakes, 2.0 to 2.9 here as well. Also, you are seeing vertical lines here without any dots in the middle of them. The vertical lines with no dots in the middle of them are steam signals. Mount Rainier is steaming. Mount Rainier is putting up steam and ash. I explained a few weeks ago backwards here. I shouldn't say backwards. 3 weeks ago back, I gave you information that suggested that the scientists up here at the summit had seen ash at the top of the summit. Ash that was not there before. Mount Rainier is active. Mount Rainier has put ash out, which means Mount Rainier has softly erupted. Mount Rainier has softly erupted. So far, they have not seen any lava at the top of this volcano, but there is ash at the top of the summit. Now, what is that black instrument here, that black symbol here that you see over here to the left? Let me enlarge this so you can see what I'm talking about. This black symbol right here in the right center of your screen here. That's called a magma churn signal. The black portion, which is the portion that looks like a sideways rectangle. This sideways rectangle, typically being a true magma churn signal, would be seen as 23 to 24 lines high. Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines high. 8 lines high, which means this magma churn signal is only putting out 30 to 33% of real world, which means all of the other symbols on the seismogram are false. They're false, which means the seismologist turned the seismograph down. The seismologist turned the seismograph down. As a result, the seismogram can't possibly even show us what's really going on. The seismograph can't even possibly show us what's really going on here. For example, let's look at this earthquake up here in the corner top. This earthquake happened just after 6 p.m. yesterday evening. It shows to be a 2.2 earthquake, but it's only showing us 33% real world. So this 2.2 is really probably a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. Yeah. True story. How about this next one on this black line on the left center side? Okay. This happened after 9. It happened after 9 p.m., about 9:04 p.m. Also 2.0 earthquake, as it shows here. Again, this is probably a 3.5 earthquake. Probably 3.5 earthquake. And these blue symbols here, those are also tremors. Tremors. It's showing magma here. Each of these individual lines are supposed to show magma. Magma going through the magma channel here of the volcano. When we have a thicker line, the thicker line is showing us a lot of magma going through the magma channel, and The thinner part of the line shows us less magma. So when we have a thicker part of the line and the thinner part of the line on the same line, that means there was less and less magma going through the magma channel of the volcano. But when we have symbols like this on the blue line here, we show tremors before that. We see very tiny tremors before the main tremor here. Okay? This earthquake here happened after 12:30 this morning. On the left-hand side, it was 12:30, and here we are seeing 12:37 p.m. here on this blue line. This would be a 1.4, 1.5 tremor over on the left-hand side of that on the same blue line. That was a tiny 1.2, 1.3 caused by magma. Out to the right, we see what we call a secondary quake. That secondary quake was at least 60 seconds long, which means the actual earthquake is probably closer to a 2.0 earthquake. Closer to a 2.0 earthquake. And I'm going to say the same thing about this second blue line structure right here, which happened after 6:30 this morning. 6:36 this morning. This would be probably 1.7 tremor. It also has a secondary wave going out to the right, about 60 seconds long. This is also probably a 2.0, 2.5 earthquake, at least. At least. And this blue symbol here that says it was after 1300 hours on the blue line, which means 13:30, which is 1:30 p.m., 1:37. Shows 1.3, 1.4 tremor, which means this is probably at least a 2.0 earthquake, because this seismogram was not showing exact information, because the seismologists turned the strength of it down. They turned the strength of this down. Now, what is the sickening most part of this seismogram? It's the most accurate seismogram we have. Why is that? Let me show you Camp Muir. Camp Muir is over on the northmost top of the volcano at Mount Rainier. They're hardly showing us anything. They're hardly showing us anything. They're showing us magma, basically. Magma going through the magma channel here. Look at that. That's all they're showing here. Down here at the bottom, we're seeing the Kamchatka earthquake. Yes, the Kamchatka earthquake appears on the seismograms. Why? Because it was almost straight east of this volcano. Almost straight east of the volcano. I shouldn't say east, straight west of the volcano. My bad. Straight west of Mount Rainier. Big deal. Huge deal. But Camp Muir is hardly showing us any activity. And yet we know for a fact that Mount Rainier is showing signs of a possible eruption. Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are showing signs of a possible eruption. Let me show you another seismogram from Mount Rainier, because they are not being honest with us at all. At all. This is observation rock to the northwest of Mount Rainier. Here you've seen tremors here for the most part. Over here on the left-hand side center here, we have an earthquake. We have an earthquake here on that blue line. That blue line would be 5:30 on the left-hand side. In this case, this is 5:33. That's a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. Then over here, also on this blue line, Guess what? That's a steam signal. This is a steam signal. Again, Mount Rainier is steaming. Mount Rainier is steaming. Down here on the bottom red line here, this earthquake here is after 10:15 on the left-hand side, and this is approximately 10:23 a.m. this morning. 10:23 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.8 earthquake. 2.8 earthquake. Up here to the right, this is a 2.3 earthquake here. Further up here to the right, 1.7 tremor. Right above it on the red line, that's a 2.7 earthquake. Last night. But again, they're not telling us the truth. Normally here, even at Observation Rock, normally we would see more earthquakes. Let me show what they're showing us here at Mount St. Helens. This is a crying shame. This is a crying shame. This is September lobe. September lobe. For the most part, all we are seeing are tremors here. Tremors, except for one. One earthquake that happened after 1:44, actually 1:43 this morning. 2.8 earthquake. 2.8 earthquake here at Mount St. Helens at September lobe. September lobe is a seismograph that sits on spindly legs on the summit of Mount St. Helens. September lobe. Hardly showing anything else but tremors. Insane. We know for a fact what's actually going on. Look what they're showing here at Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl is a seismograph located on the north side of Mount St. Helens. Showing us nothing. Showing us absolutely nothing. It's showing us the earthquake out at Kamchatka Peninsula. But the rest of the seismograph is blank. Why? Because the agencies scrubbed or deleted all the information. They have scrubbed or deleted all the information. Now, the other seismographs at Mount Rainier did the same. They deleted all the information on the seismograph. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Yet Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens are both in the process of a possible eruption. And yes, they have found ash at the top of Mount St. Helens, and they've seen ash blowing off the top of Mount St. Helens, and they're blaming it on ash that was deposited there last time when it last erupted in 2003, which was a very minor eruption. The last major eruption was in March of 1978. I'm sorry, March 1980. March 1980. Yes, it left ash from March 1980, but there's been plenty of storms, plenty of wind and everything else that would have blown that up. Now the scientists are saying, no, that ash was still at the top of Mount St. Helens and still blowing around. They're wrong. They're wrong. They do not want to admit exactly what's going on here at either one of these volcanoes. Both of those volcanoes I've shown you are showing signs of eruption. Let me show you the other seismogram at Mount St. Helens at September lobe. The same seismograph that's showing you data, but it's actually going to show you what is going on at Mount St. Helens. Right here. This is the seismogram coming from the seismograph September lobe. September lobe is a multi-channel seismograph showing 7 different channels. This is basically the BHN channel, but in this case, this is the BDF BDF00CC01. BDF00CC01. Look what's happening. Look at all these wavy lines here. These wavy lines show magma entering Mount St. Helens. Magma entering and going through the magma channel at Mount St. Helens. All of this shows substantial magma, which would cause earthquakes. And yet all they're showing us are minor earthquakes and tremors here at Mount St. Helens. What a lie. What a lie. Especially up here at the top yesterday evening. We should be seeing 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes all over the seismograph here. But they're all over the seismograph on the main seismograph. They're not showing it to us. They are lying through their teeth. They are absolutely lying through their teeth. This entire seismograph shows you active lava, active magma, I shouldn't say lava, active magma. Magma is what is below the top of the volcano. Magma is still under the ground. Lava is above the ground. Magma is in the volcano. This is what is happening in the volcano. And because of all the activity here of the magma, we should be seeing a lot of earthquakes, and we're not. They are absolutely lying about what's going on here. Totally lying about it. Let's go down to Mount Hood. Mount Hood, they're showing squat. This is timberline. On the timberline is at government camp at the base of Mount Hood on the southern side. Again, all they're showing here is the earthquake at Kamchatka Peninsula here. That's all they're showing, nothing else. Yet Mount Hood is moving. There is movement at Mount Hood, and we've proven it in the past, but I checked all the seismograms all over these volcanoes, nothing showing. That means they scrubbed the data. They scrubbed the data. Let's go up to the north of the same side of the volcano, Palmer Lift. Palmer Lift should be showing us activity as well. Look at this. Except for one stray seismograph. One stray signal here. A tremor. 1.3 tremor here. Nothing else. We've seen tremors before. We've seen harmonic tremors shaking Mount Hood. We've seen 2.5, 2.8, 2.9, and 3.0 earthquakes happening here at Mount Hood. They're not showing anything. It's blank. It's blank. Except for the Kamchatka earthquake. Interesting. Let's go south. Let's go down to what used to be called Bachelor Volcano, which now they're calling Moon Mountain. Look at this. Look what's happening here. This is what they should be showing us at Mount Rainier, at St. Helens, at Mount Hood, at Mount Baker. No, I didn't show you Baker, but I show you the rest of the volcanoes here. Yes, we're showing harmonic tremors up here at the top last night. We're seeing harmonic tremors throughout the day today. We're also seeing earthquakes here at Newberry Volcano. I should say Newberry. This is Bachelor, or what they call Moon Mountain. We're seeing earthquakes here. Earthquakes are long vertical lines here. Tremors are long or short vertical lines. We're seeing tremors, and we're also seeing earthquakes here. Also at the bottom here, you see some tiny wavy lines. That is also the Kamchatka earthquake. Let me show you Newberry. Look at Newberry. Newberry is also showing the same harmonic tremors. We're also seeing other tremors here as well. Let's take a look at Sisters. Look here at Sisters. Harmonic tremors, We're seeing tremors all over here. Look at the thick lines here. Look at the thick lines here this morning. Just after 7 a.m. this morning. A lot of magma going into the volcanoes here at Sisters Volcano Complex. The Sisters Volcano Complex is not just one, but 3 volcanoes. They call it the Sisters Complex. Here we're seeing a massive amount of magma coming into the magma chamber of the Sisters Volcanic Complex. We are also seeing tremors, and we're seeing one earthquake. This earthquake is this line here in the center right-hand side on the red line. 4:15 this morning, after 4:15 this morning. Here it's at about 4:21 this morning. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake this morning. Sisters Complex. On the black line, we're also seeing a minor earthquake. On the black line, we're also seeing a minor earthquake just below that. Now to the right side, we're seeing a secondary wave about 30 seconds long. This is what's happening. This is what the other seismographs should be showing, but they're not. They're not showing the activity. Let me take you down south to Crater Lake to South Central Oregon. Look at this. Crater Lake now has only one seismograph available. The seismograph at Crater Lake Bunkhouse in the south central part of Crater Lake. Crater Lake Bunkhouse is the only seismograph left. They've turned off all the others. They've turned off Crater Lake, Cleetwood Cove over on the northeast side of Crater Lake. They've turned off Crater Lake, Mount Scott on the southeast side. They've turned off Wizard Volcano seismograph, which is the island on Crater Lake over to the northwest. They turned that seismograph off as well. So the only seismograph we have available now is Crater Lake Bunkhouse, and you can look what they did here. It's not showing you any activity. Not showing any of us any activity. That is because the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and the USGS shut it down. Shut it down. Turned it basically off. So it's not recording data. These are the agencies that run our lives here in the Pacific Northwest. They don't want to see an activity. None. They know full well that these volcanoes are going to erupt. They know full well what's going on. They know full well what's going on. Now, I want to talk about what is happening at these volcanoes. This is a summary of the activity. Again, ash clouds have been sighted in recent days at Mount St. Helens. Yes, they're trying to blame it on ash that was erupted back in 2003. 22 years ago. Sorry, doesn't jive. Doesn't jive with any ash that might have been left over from the 1980 eruption. Sorry, doesn't make any sense. Ash has been sighted around Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier recently because of both of those volcanoes are in the process of eruption. They are in the process of eruption, generating new eruptive activity. This phenomenon is significant because it shows the volcano has not yet come to a complete standstill. It's not come to a complete standstill. It is recharging. Each and every one of these volcanoes are recharging. They're recharging, guys. I promise you, they are recharging. The USGS would have us think, oh, nothing's going on here, and nothing's going to happen. I'm here to tell you that is false. That is false. In the background, this is Mount Rainier. In the foreground, this is Mount St. Helens. Both volcanoes. Both volcanoes, guys. This is what's happening. This is real. This is real. Even small impulses of eruptive activity, small impulses of steam can mobilize deposits. Small impulses of steam coming from the volcano can mobilize deposits. All in all, this indicates increased seismic activity of the entire systems of these volcanoes. All other large volcanoes in the Cascade Range, especially Mount Hood and Mount Rainier, have also been showing increased seismic activity and slight thermal anomalies for some time. Slight thermal anomalies, meaning the temperatures of the volcano have increased. The temperatures of the outside of the volcano have increased. That's why we saw decreased amounts of snow and ice at the summit of Mount Rainier earlier this year. We saw less and less ice and snow at the summit of Mount Rainier earlier this year. Fact. Fact, guys. Yet they would have us believe that nothing's going on. Excuse me. They would have us believe that nothing's going on. Incredible. They decrease the seismograph activity so they can try to tell us nothing's going on. The seismic activity has increased. The thermal anomalies have increased for some time. Again, these volcanoes are showing signs of a possible eruption. Now, I need to say this. None of this is enough for a red alert. None of this is enough for a red alert. However, USGS should also generate a yellow cautionary advisory. In my opinion, the United States Geological Survey should generate a yellow cautionary advisory. They've done it at Mount Shur in Alaska. They've done it at Mount Redoubt in Alaska. They've done it at other volcanoes such as Sepulchre in the Aleutian Island chain. They should be doing that here as well. These giant mountains are no longer sleeping. They're no longer sleeping as deeply as they did years ago. Small earthquakes, 3.0 or larger. Slight ground movements as well. Minimal gas releases are signals that magma chambers are moving. Hydrothermal systems are moving. The hydrothermal signals are the water in the glaciers. The water in the thermal pools. They're flowing much more strongly again. This is a decisive factor that is tectonic foundation. The decisive factor is a tectonic foundation. The Juan de Fuca plate pushes further underneath the North American plate. The Pacific plate is pushing further underneath the North American plate. That provides pressure buildup along the Cascade subduction zone. If all three of these central volcanoes, Rainier, St. Helens, and Hood, are now showing activity, this is an indication of immediate, and the entire zone has started to move. The entire zone has started to move. This means that this entire region has entered a phase in which substantial processes are picking up speed again, a harbinger of higher geophysical stress. a harbinger of higher geophysical stress along the entire Cascadia arc in the long term. Pressures mounting from the solar winds. Pressure is mounting from the electromagnetic radiation from planetary lamps as well. After the sun's most recent coronal hole, the sun has been erupting solar flares. We've seen it on our televisions, we've seen it on police radio communications, we've seen it on fire radio communications, we've seen it on ham radio communications as well, high frequency radio communications. We've seen it. It's across the map, all around the world. Over 180 earthquakes along the North American plate west of Kamchatka Peninsula. Over 180 earthquakes on the North American plate west of Kamchatka Peninsula. Also, recent Kilauea volcano eruptions in Hawaii also is a factor here. Yes, the Big Island is right over the top of the magma plume in the South Pacific. The Big Island of Hawaii is right over the top of the magma plume in the South Pacific. And that's why Kilauea continues to erupt. But this is still a large earthquake. We're still expecting large earthquakes in this region. As I said last night, we are expecting a 7.0 in Southern California. At least a 7.0 to an 8.5 in Southern California. It's going to happen. I promise you it's going to happen. Nobody's going to stop it. Nobody's going to stop it. Shella Solio says, God has me, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned as well. God has me as well. Now, as I do at the end of our broadcasts, I give you what I call a devotional. My devotional today is this. This past Sunday, we saw more churches packed throughout the United States and also throughout the world. More churches have been packed this past Sunday. And I hope that this is going to continue for a long time. One of our friends, one of the people that was closest to us, was killed just over a week ago. Charlie Kirk was killed by an assassin's bullet. Charlie Kirk was not just a political activist. He was a Christian man. Very much a Christian man. God had Charlie Kirk in the palms of his hands. Had him there. Charlie Kirk was not just preaching conservative politics, trying to bring this country and the world back around to where it should be. He was preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Brothers and sisters, he was one of God's mouthpieces here on this earth. He just didn't preach, he also quoted scripture. He was a scriptorian. He knew his scriptures. He read his scriptures. Seven years ago, Charlie Kirk got married to a wonderful Christian woman, Erica. He first was introduced by Erica by one of his colleagues. One of his colleagues thought that Erica could fill a spot in their company. After the preliminary part of the interview was finished, Charlie said, "I'm not going to hire you, but I'm going to date you. If you'll let me." Later that night, she called Charlie back and they set up the next date. Their first date was a hamburger joint that Eric had never even heard of or been to. It was Charlie's favorite hamburger joint in New York. He took her on dates and finally he married her about a year later. They had 2 children. Charlie Kirk was not just a Christian. He was a husband. He was a father of 2 children. On September 10th, a man shot and killed Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk just wasn't a Christian martyr. Charlie Kirk was martyred because he spoke the truth. The left-wing part of our society throughout this world doesn't like the truth. They don't want any part of the truth. That's why they kill people. That's why they kill people. They killed Abraham Lincoln. Martin Luther King. John F. Kennedy. Robert Fitzgerald Kennedy. They tried to kill President Reagan. Twice they tried to kill President Trump. They're still trying to kill President Trump. And because one man stands up, not just in defense of our country, but in defense of our entire world, and in defense of Jesus Christ, the left didn't like it. They took Charlie Kirk from our presence. John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. His only begotten Son. For us. The Jews, the liberals, had Jesus Christ crucified because he spoke the truth. The Jews didn't realize the gospel was true. Christ arose the 3rd day after blackness encompassed the earth, and the earth shook. Yes, the earth is shaking, but not like what happened the night Jesus Christ died. Christ arose on the 3rd day. Jesus Christ is alive today. The gospel of Jesus Christ is here on the earth today, as we know it. The gospel of Jesus Christ is on earth today. It's up to each one of us. It's up to each one of us to make sure that we are following the gospel of Jesus Christ, that we are praying, that we are going to church, that we are obeying the commandments. We need to be praying and make sure we're where Christ wants us to be. Some people are talking about the tribulation coming. It's already here. It's already here. We need to exercise love. Don Patoka said here, exercise logic over emotion. We need to do that. We need to be centered. We need to be calculated. We need to be collected. We need to make sure we exercise logic. We must be considered and never ending. We must be coordinated together. As my buddy Don Patuka said here in the chat, each of us are unique in circumstance. Ponder what will work for you. Pray. Pray and ponder what will work for you, and let's come together. Let's come together as saints, saints of God, standing together for liberty, standing together for Jesus Christ, standing together for love. We need to be prepared. We need to stand in holy places and not be moved until the day of the Lord come. For behold, it cometh quickly, saith the Lord. Amen. Brothers and sisters, I am a Christian. I am only a servant in Jesus Christ's kingdom. I love Jesus Christ. I worship Jesus Christ. I study the scriptures of Jesus Christ. Maybe we need to make concerned efforts in our own lives to turn our lives around and stand in holy places and be not moved. Brothers and sisters, if anything happens tonight or tomorrow, we will come back on the air as soon as we can, as soon as the information becomes available. I was not able to come up on the air earlier today for members only meeting. I'm going to try again in the morning. I had a rough night. I will try again in the morning to do a members only meeting. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to come back on the air and talk about earthquakes and other things that are pertinent to talk about in regards to what's happening in our lives. Also, tomorrow is Preparedness Friday. We're going to talk about emergency preparedness. I found some more information on atomic energy and how we might deal with radiation poison and what's happening in our lives. So I would ask you all to return to our program tomorrow evening for another episode of Emergency Management Associates just after 4 p.m. tomorrow evening, and possibly even tomorrow morning after 10 a.m. for members only meeting. For members only, please be here with us. I love each and every one of you. Also, please contribute to our channel. Just below on the bottom of your screen here, on the bottom of your screen, you're seeing our PayPal addresses here. Our Venmo is still down. I'm trying to recover it, but our PayPal addresses are active. If you can support our program, do so over on PayPal. Also, you can send us letters and cards to our mailing address, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. You can enclose a check or cash inside your envelope, inside your letter or your card, and mail it to us. We'd appreciate your support, very much so. Until then, may God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. As Scott Vrabel says, righteousness, absolutely righteousness be before us today. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everyone.